ओके क्लास, सो अब हम चलते हैं चैप्टर 12 के ऊपर, डिमिनिशिंग मुशारका पे। मैंने मुदारबा अभी स्किप कर दिया है, तो हम इसके बाद मुदारबा को डिस्कस, ताकि मुशारका एक बार पूरा टॉपिक हम कंप्लीट कर लें। ये बहुत छोटा सा आगे इसको सिर्फ क्योंकि सेम कॉन्सेप्ट कंटिन्यू हो रहा है, तो इसीलिए मैंने कहा कि इस कॉन्सेप्ट को हम कवर करके फिर मुदारबा पे चलते हैं। सो चैप्टर 12, डिमिनिशिंग मुशारका, a concept of diminishing musharaka. Another form of musharaka developed in the recent past in the diminishing musharaka. According to this concept, a financier and his client participate either in the joint ownership of a property or an equipment, or in a joint commercial enterprise. The share of the financier is further divided into a number of units, and it is understood that the client will purchase the units of the share of the financier one by one, periodically, thus increasing his own share until all the units of the financier are purchased by the client, so as to make him the sole owner of the property or the commercial enterprise, as the case may be. अब डिमिनिशिंग मुशारका है क्या? मुशारका हम ऊपर डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, और क्लियर विद दैट कि दो लोग जॉइंट ओनरशिप क्रिएट करें। डिमिनिशिंग मुशारका के अंदर आप उस जॉइंट ओनरशिप के अंदर भी, क्योंकि एक पार्टनर दूसरे पार्टनर को अपना जो एसेट है वो रेंट पर दे सकता है, ठीक है, तो उनमें से जो पार्टनर रेंट पर लेना चाह रहा है वो उसको रेंट पर दे देगा कि जी इतना हिस्सा तो तुम्हारा है, बाकी जो मेरा हिस्सा है उसका रेंट तुम मुझे दे दोगे, ठीक है। और उसके अलावा वो ये तय भी कर लेते हैं आपस में कि जो पार्टनर रह रहा है वो कहता है कि मैं ये तुम्हारा हिस्सा खरीदना चाहता हूँ, तो उस हिस्से के हिस्से बना देते हैं, टुकड़े कर देते हैं। लेट सपोज 50-50 है, तो 50 जो टुकड़े उसके पास है, बैंक के पास है, बैंक उसके 50 चंक्स बना देता है, या 24 या 48 जितने भी सालों के अंदर वो पेमेंट करना चाह रहा है उतने चंक्स बना देगा कि ये 48 चंक्स हमने तुम्हारे बना दिए, अब तुम हमसे खरीदना चाहते हो, नो प्रॉब्लम, इसकी पेमेंट इतनी होगी हर चंक की। जैसे जैसे कस्टमर हर महीने उस चंक की पेमेंट करता जाएगा, तो वो चंक कस्टमर ओन कर लेगा, और अब उसके ऊपर अगली बार उसने रेंट नहीं पे करना होगा, वो बाकी रिमेनिंग चंक्स के ऊपर रेंट पे करेगा। तो वो उतने हिस्से उसके बना दिए जाएंगे, हर महीने जब वो एक चंक अपना परचेज कर लेगा तो उसको उस चंक के ऊपर रेंट नहीं पे करना पड़ेगा, तो वो रिमेनिंग के ऊपर रेंट पे करेगा। इसी तरह से आहिस्ता आहिस्ता वो सारे हिस्से खुद परचेज कर लेगा, और फिर बैंक को आखिरी एक हिस्सा बचा होगा जिसका रेंट पे करेगा, और जब वो रेंट पे करके उसको परचेज कर लेगा तो अब पूरी प्रॉपर्टी कस्टमर की हो जाएगी। यस, यस, जो रेट है वो भी पहले से तय है, क्योंकि जिसने के ऊपर उसने बेचने का तय किया है वो पहले से तय है, और उसका डिवाइड हो गए हिस्से के हिस्सों में आप उनसे परचेज करेंगे। और जो रेंट है वो प्री डिटरमिन्ड भी हो सकता है, और लेकिन वो उसके अंदर ये है कि वो फ्लोटिंग भी रखा जाता है। अब ये फ्लोटिंग के ऊपर मैंने क्वेश्चन किया था, तो उनका ओपिनियन ये था कि जी वो बेसिकली न्यू ऑफर एंड एक्सेप्टेंस होती है हर बार। तो जब आप फ्लोटिंग पे रखते हैं तो वो मंथली न्यू ऑफर एंड एक्सेप्टेंस, या 6 मंथली, या जो भी टाइम उनका डिसाइडेड होता है, तब न्यू ऑफर एंड एक्सेप्टेंस होती है। तो वो नई ऑफर बैंक को करता है कि इस रेट के ऊपर मैं तुम्हें रेंट करूंगा, तो उसके ऊपर एक्सेप्टेंस हो जाती है, और इसकी बेसिस के ऊपर हम फ्लोटिंग को भी रख लेते हैं। या लेकिन कर लेते हैं, अलाउड है। The diminishing musharka based on the above concept has taken different forms in different transactions. Some examples are given below. It has been used mostly in house financing. The client wants to purchase a house for which he does not have adequate funds. He approaches the financier who agrees to participate with him in purchasing the required house. For instance, 20% of the price is paid by the client and 80% of the price by the financier. Thus, the financier owns 80% of the house while the client owns 20%. After purchasing the property jointly, the client uses the home for his residential purposes and pays rent to the financier for using his share in the property. At the same time, the financier's share is further divided into 8 equal units, each unit representing a 10% ownership of the house. The client promises to the financier that he will purchase one unit after every 3 months. Accordingly, after the first term of 3 months, the client purchases one unit of the share of the financier by paying 1/10 of the price of the house. This reduces the share of the financier from 80 to 70%. Hence, the rent payable to the financier is also reduced to that extent. At the end of the second term, he purchases another unit, whereby increasing his share in the property to 40% and reducing the share of the financier to 60%, and consequently reducing the rent to that proportion as well. This process goes on in the same fashion until after the end of 2 years, the client purchases the entire share of the financer, reducing the share of the financer to 0 and increasing his own share to 100%. This arrangement allows the financer to claim rent according to his proportion of ownership in the property, and at the same time allows him the periodical return of a part of his principal through purchases of the unit of his share. A wants to purchase a taxi to use it for offering transport services to passengers and to earn income through fares recovered from them. But he is short of funds. B agrees to participate in the purchase of the taxi. Therefore, both of them purchase a taxi jointly. For instance, 80% of the price is paid by B and 20% is paid by A. After the taxi is purchased, it is employed to provide transport to the passengers, whereby the net income of rupees 1000 is earned on a daily basis. Since B has an 80% share in the taxi, it is agreed that 80% of the fare will be given to him and the rest of the 20% will be returned to A, who has a 20% share in the taxi. It means that rupees 800 is earned by B and rupees 200 is earned by A on a daily basis. At the same time, the share of B is further divided into 8 units. After 3 months, A purchases 1 unit from the share of B. Consequently, the share of B is reduced to 70% and the share of A is increased to 30%, meaning thereby that as from that date, A will be entitled to rupees 300 and from the daily income of the taxi, and B will be entitled to 700. This process will go on until after the expiry of 2 years. The whole taxi will be owned by A and B will take back his original investment along with the income distributed to him in the above mentioned way. Similarly, A wants to start a business of a ready-made garments but lacks the required funds for that business. B agrees to participate with him for a specified period, say 2 years. 40% of the investment is contributed by A and 60 by B. Both start the business on the basis of musharka. The proportion of profit allocated for each one of them is expressly agreed upon. But at the same time, B's share in the business is divided into 6 equal units, and A keeps purchasing these units on a gradual basis until after the end of the year B comes out of the business. 2 years B comes out of the business, leaving its exclusive ownership to A. Apart from the periodical profits earned by B, he gains the price of the unit of his shares, which in practical terms tends to repay to him the original amount invested by him. Analyzed from the Sharia point of view, this arrangement is compared to different transactions which come to play their role at different stages. Therefore, each one of the foregoing 3 forms of diminishing musharaka is discussed below in the light of the Islamic principles. Home financing on the basis of distributing musharaka, diminishing musharaka. The proposed agreement is composed of the following transactions. Number 1, to create joint ownership in the property. Shirkatul Milk के property में joint ownership create की जाए. Then giving the share of the financer to the client on rent, कि financer का share client को rent पर दे दिया जाए. फिर obtaining a promise from the client to purchase the unit of the financer's share, कि उससे एक प्रॉमिस ले लिया जाता है कि वो फाइनेंसर के शेयर के जो यूनिट्स हैं वो परचेज कर लेगा. देन एक्चुअल परचेज ऑफ द यूनिट एट डिफरेंट स्टेजेस, के वो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता उसको फिर परचेज करता है. एंड एडजस्टमेंट ऑफ द रेंटल्स अकॉर्डिंग टू द रिमेनिंग शेयर ऑफ द फाइनेंसर इन द प्रॉपर्टी, एंड दिस कंप्लीट्स द होल प्रोसेस. Now steps in detail of the arrangement. The first step in the above mentioned arrangement of diminishing musharaka is to create a joint ownership in the property. It has always been explained in the beginning of this chapter, already been explained in the beginning of the chapter, that Shirkatul Milk, joint ownership, can come into existence in different ways, including joint purchase by the contracting parties. All schools of Islamic jurisprudence have expressly allowed this type of contract. Therefore, no objection can be raised against creating this form of joint ownership. The second part of the arrangement is that the financer leases his share in the house to his client and charges rent from him. This arrangement is also permissible because there is no difference of opinion among the Muslim jurists in the permissibility of leasing one's undivided share in the property to his partner. If the undivided share is leased out to a third party, its permissibility is a point of difference between the Muslim jurists. Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Zufar are of the view that the undivided share cannot be leased out to a third party, while Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, Abdul Yusuf, and Muhammad ibn Hassan hold that the undivided share can be leased out to any person, but so far as the property is leased to the partner himself, all of them are unanimous on the validity of the ijara. The third step in the aforesaid arrangement is that the client purchases different units of the undivided share of the financer. This transaction is also allowed if the undivided share relates to both land and building. The sale of both is allowed according to all the Islamic schools. Similarly, if the undivided share of the building is intended to be sold to the partner, it is also allowed unanimously by all Muslim jurists. However, there is a difference of opinion if it is sold to a third party. It is clear from the foregoing three steps that each one of the transactions mentioned above is allowed. But the question is whether these transactions may be combined in a single arrangement. The answer is that if all these transactions have been combined by making each one of them a condition for the other, then this is not allowed in the Sharia, because it is a well settled rule in Islamic jurisprudence that one transaction cannot be made precondition for another. However, the proposed scheme suggests that instead of making two transactions conditional to each other, these should be a one-sided promise from the client, firstly to take the share of the financer on lease and pay the agreed rent, and secondly to purchase different units of the share of the financer of the house at different stages. This leads us to the fourth step, which is enforceability of such a promise. It is generally believed that a promise to be something creates only a moral obligation on the promiser, while cannot be enforced through courts of law. However, there are a number of Muslim jurists who declare that promises are enforceable and the court of law can compel the promiser to fulfill his promise, especially in the context of commercial activities. Some Maliki Hanafi jurists can be cited in particular who have declared that promises can be enforced through courts of law in case of need. Again, the Hanafi jurists have adopted this view with regard to a particular sale called Bay Bil Wafa. Bay Bil Wafa is a special arrangement of the sale of a house whereby the buyer promises to the seller that whenever the latter gives him back the price of the house, he will resell the house to him. This arrangement was in vague in the countries of Central Asia, and the Hanafi jurists have declared that if the resale of the house to the original seller is made a condition for the initial sale, it is not allowed. However, if the first sale is effected without any condition, but after effecting the sale, the buyer promises to resell the house whenever the seller offers to him the same price, this promise is acceptable and it creates not only a moral obligation but also an enforceable right of the original seller. The Muslim jurists allowing this arrangement have based their view on the principle that the promise can be made enforceable at the time of need. Even if the promise has been made before effecting the first sale, after which the sale has been effected without a condition, it is also allowed by certain Hanafi jurists. One may raise an objection that if the promise of resale has been taken before entering into an actual sale, it particularly amounts to putting a condition on the sale itself, because the promise is understood to have been entered into between the parties at the time of sale. And even if the sale is without an express condition, it shall be taken as conditional because a promise is an express term, in an express term has preceded it. This objection may be addressed by the fact that there is a big difference between putting a condition in the sale and making a separate promise without making it a condition. If the condition is expressly mentioned at the time of sale, it means that the sale will be void only if the condition is fulfilled, valid if the condition is fulfilled, meaning thereby that if the condition is not fulfilled in the future, the present sale will become void. This makes the transaction of sale contingent on future event which may or may not occur. It leads to uncertainty, gharar in the transaction, which is totally prohibited in Sharia. Conversely, if the sale is without any condition, but one of the two parties has promised to do something separately, then the sale cannot be held contingent or conditional with fulfillment of the promise. It will take effect irrespective of whether or not the promiser fulfills his promise. Even if the promiser backs out of his promise, the sale will remain effective. The most the promiser can do is to compel the promiser promisee can do is to compel the promiser through a court of law to fulfill his promise. And if the promiser is unable to fulfill the promise, the promisee can claim actual damages he has suffered because of the default. This makes it clear that a separate and independent promise to purchase does not render the original contract conditional or contingent, therefore it can be enforced. On the basis of this analysis, diminishing musharaka may be used for home financing with the following condition. The arrangement of joint partnership leasing and selling different units of the share of the financer should not be tied up together in one single contract. However, the joint purchase and the contract of lease may be joined in the one document whereby the financer agrees to lease his share after joint purchase to the client. This is allowed because, as explained in the relevant chapter, ijara can be effected for a future date. At the same time, the client may sign a one-sided promise to purchase different units of the shares of the financer periodically, and the financer may undertake that when the client will purchase a unit of his share, the rent of the remaining unit will be reduced accordingly. At the time of the purchase of each unit, the sale must be effected by the exchange and offer and acceptance of that particular date. So offer and acceptance उस date को जरूर होगी जब भी share बेचा जाएगा. It will be preferable that the purchase of different units by the client is effected on the basis of the market value of the house as prevalent on the date of purchase of that unit. But it is also permissible that a particular price is agreed in the promise of purchase signed by the client, as it is a shirkatul milk transaction and the partnership is only over the asset and not in the business. तो उसके सिर्फ एसेट की जो प्राइस थी उसके अकॉर्डिंग पहले भी कोई प्राइस तय की जा सकती है या मार्केट प्राइस के ऊपर भी एसेट का जो वो एक चंक है वो बेचा जा सकता है. Now the diminishing musharaka for services. The second example given earlier for diminishing musharaka is the joint purchase of a taxi for using it as a hired vehicle to earn income. This arrangement consists of following elements: creating joint ownership in a taxi in the form of shirkatul milk, as already stated this is allowed in Sharia. Musharaka in the income generated through the services of the taxi, it is also allowed as mentioned earlier in this chapter के किसी भी income generating activity के अंदर मुशारका किया जा सकता है. Purchase of different units of the share of the financer by the client, this is again subject to the condition already explained in the case of home financing. However, there is a slight difference between home financing and the arrangement suggested in this second example. The taxi, when used as a hired vehicle, normally depreciates in value over time. Therefore, depreciation in the value of the taxi must be kept in mind while determining the price of different units of the share of the financer, क्योंकि वो वैल्यू में कम हो रहा होगा एज कम्पेयर टू के बढ़ रहा हो, तो इसलिए उसके जो फाइनेंसर को पेमेंट की जाएगी आफ्टर सम टाइम वो डेफिनेटली कम होनी चाहिए एज कम्पेयर टू कि वो डेप्रिसिएशन को अकाउंट फॉर करे. Now diminishing musharaka in trade. The third example of diminishing musharaka as given above is that the financer contributes 60% of the capital for starting a business of ready-made garments, for example. This arrangement is composed of two elements only. If in the first place, the arrangement is simply a musharaka whereby two partners invest different amounts of capital in a joint enterprise, this is obviously permissible subject to the conditions of musharaka already spelled out earlier. Secondly, it entails the purchase of different units of share of the financer by client. This may be in the form of a separate and independent promise by the client. The requirements of Sharia regarding this promise are the same as explained in the case of home financing, with one very important difference. Here, the price of unit of the financer cannot be fixed in the promise to purchase, because if the price is fixed beforehand at the time of entering into a musharaka, it will particularly mean that the client has entered the principal invested, has ensured that the principal invested by the financer with or without profit, which is strictly prohibited in the case of musharaka. Therefore, there are two options for the financer about fixing the price of his units to be purchased by the client. One option is that he agrees to sell the units on the basis of the valuation of the business at the time of purchase of each unit. If the value of the business increases, the price will be higher, and if it decreases, the price will be lower. Such valuation may be carried out in accordance with the recognized principles through the experts whose identity may be agreed upon between the parties when the promise is signed. The second option is that the financier allows the client to sell these units to anybody else at whatever price he can. But at the same time, he offers a specific price to the client, meaning whereby if he finds a purchaser of that unit at a higher price, he may sell it to him. But if he wants to sell it to the financier, the latter will be agreeable to purchase it at the price fixed by him beforehand. कि किसी और को बेचना चाहे तो उसको भी बेच सकता है, लेकिन वो किसी भी प्राइस पे, मार्केट प्राइस पे दे सकता है, और अगर इसी को बेचना चाहे तो वो अगेन जो उसके साथ प्राइस तय हुई है उसके ऊपर बेच सकता है. Although both these options are available according to the principles of Sharia, the second option does not seem to be feasible for the financier because it will lead to injecting new partners into the musharaka, which will disturb the whole arrangement and defeat the purpose of a diminishing musharaka, in which the financier wants to get his money back within a specific time period. Therefore, in order to implement the objective of diminishing musharaka, only the first option is practical. यूजेज बेसिकली ऑल पर्पसेस ऑफ फिक्स्ड एसेट्स की परचेजेस के लिए आप ले सकते हैं, होम फाइनेंसिंग के लिए लिया जा सकता है, प्लांट्स फैक्ट्री की फाइनेंसिंग के लिए, कार ट्रांसपोर्ट या फाइनेंसिंग के लिए, इसके अलावा प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेंसिंग के लिए फिक्स्ड एसेट्स की इसको यूज किया जा सकता है.